Hello everyone, and in this video I'm going to show you how to add some flair to a very small level and basically give you more tips on sequencing events in your map. So we are going to start with a basic template first. We'll let that load. Alright, so if you noticed in the last video when I used a basic map, it was almost exactly the same as this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to have 4 rooms around this right here. So what you want to do is grab it, go ahead and attach it to this room, and then we're going to just duplicate, rotate, I don't think it really matters, and attach it to each side of the crossway. If you'll see, it's got 4 spawn points on each one. We're going to get rid of those whenever we go into object mode. So we'll want this one, since it's close by, to be our central spawn. So we'll just go through here and delete these other ones. And next, because I think it's taking up a little bit too much space for what we want, we're going to hit module properties, and if you'll see, floor clutter, wall clutter, decal layers, sound layer, those pertain to things that you find on the floor, on the walls, on the ceiling. It's pretty self-explanatory, but it just gets rid of these little side objects, so that the floor looks a little bit cleaner. You can keep these in here if you want a little bit of atmosphere, but for right now I'm gonna get rid of them because it makes it easier for me to show you what I'm doing. Okay, and if you notice, it says module properties down there at the bottom with triangle. Each one of these different rooms is its own separate module. So if I go in here, you notice the floor clutter, the wall clutter, all this stuff, it's still there. But I'm going to leave those there for now. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to set up what I want the player to have when he spawns into this map. So we're going to hit add, go over to this right here, we'll go to player loadout, we'll hit X, X again to add it to the map, and then we'll hit triangle for properties. You'll see that you can name it. You can add 2 weapons. They start out with an equipment slot, which is these right here. And what I'm going to give him is a grenade, double jump, and edge grab. I'm going to turn these off just because I'm not going to do much double jumping. But you need, for this to actually function, for any of these modules to function, you have to hit add and give the loadout to the player when spawned. So that way, when he spawns, he will have a shotgun and a grenade in his pocket. And you'll have to do this, you'll have to connect it to each player, or if you want to do a separate one, you'll have to add another and attach it to that player, just depending on whatever you want to do. But yeah, so like if you had ledges that they needed to hit or to climb up onto in your level, you'll have to make the enabled ledge grab true so that it is possible for them to do it. Next, I'm just going to make sure that each one of these is set to a vertical split door. Alright. And then I'm going to add a panel. Now these are just basic buttons. If you played the campaign, you'll know. You hit them, they activate things. And what I'm going to do with this panel is we're going to set up a wave in this room connected to this panel, which will lock, we'll have it lock all the doors so that you can't get out, and it will also spawn a wave of enemies. But first, we are going to add just a few basic enemies in here for when we walk into the room. We'll add some imps as well. 2 imps on each side. If you notice, it's turning red right here. That's where the door closes. So all I have to do is grab him, maybe push him right here, then add another imp where he was standing. Alright, and then just because, we will add a shield guy to spawn back here. Alright, so we don't want these dudes to spawn immediately. We want them to spawn when we walk through this door, so it's kind of like a surprise. So what you'll have to do is for each one of them, you have to go to show on start and enable that to false, or I guess disable it to where it is false. Because what that does is whenever your character appears on the map, he is technically spawned. And if he spawns, all the enemies that are set to spawn on arrival will spawn. So we're going to set all of them to not. So no show on start, false. Alright, next we will tie the ones we want to appear first to the door, which I want my little zombie men to appear first. So, on opened, or when the door opens, I want zombie man number 1 to show himself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this, bring it up, and from the unopened token, I will connect each one of my zombie men to show. So, these 4 will show first. Now, how do we get these other ones to show next? Well, an easy way to do it is just to set one of them to a requires glory kill. That way you know when they're shooting around, you know, trying to kill everybody, this one will not be able to be killed unless, you know, it's flashing gold and blue and you hit the R3. So he's set to that. So what we have to do is from him, the one that is enabled with the glory kill, we have to have him connected to all 3 like this. We'll go in here with add on kill and connect it right here since he's closest to show. So we'll drag this, not him, drag the on killed token above him. Right, and from the on-killed token, we will connect the last imps. Alright, what will happen? Player will spawn, he will enter the door, the 4 zombie men will appear. Once he's been killed with the glory kill, which is the only way he can be killed, the other 3 will appear. Alright, so here comes the panel. Now, what we need to do to make this panel function, or at least have some function besides just being able to hit the button, we will go into add, scroll all the way over until you get to this page, the spawners. Now, the wave event is this one right here, so we'll focus on that one for right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set the wave event above the spawner for convenience. Or above the panel for convenience. So what we'll do is we'll add when pressed or when used and attach it to the wave event to start the event. Alright, now to get the properties of the event, we're going to have to go into it and hit triangle. activate lockdown, what that does is whenever you hit lockdown, each entryway into this module will be closed. The player cannot exit out the door once the event is started. We're going to keep that on true, and you'll see here why here in a second. If they die, they respawn back in the module. Run in activators module, not worry about that. We're going to turn this to off. It gives it a little bit more immersion if they can't see what they're doing. We're going to bring this down to 1, 3 groups per wave, and then we'll keep the difficulty at 1 for convenience. Next, and this is where some flair comes in, because what will happen is the event will start and all the doors will be quote-unquote closed. But what you can do is you can walk up to the door and it will open, but there will be a white barrier blocking your way out. And that kind of ruins the immersion as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to add to the event, or actually, let's see, we'll do this. When used, we will add to the door to lock the door in closed position. So what that means is the door will appear to be closed, but really we're just closing it for aesthetic properties. And we're going to connect from this used node to every door. Alright, we'll move this up for convenience sake. Alright, next, what we'll do is we want these doors to be back open once we're finished. So we will go and add to the event. When the event is finished, we will unlock a locked door. We will basically do that for every one of them. We'll grab this and move it over here for convenience sake. Now it's getting a little cramped in here, but you'll have to get used to that. I don't think there is a way to get rid of the lines, as far as I know. So next, what we want to do is I'm going to add a little more boss enemies. So I will go to my monster spawner page, and here I'm going to add a Mancubus. Plop him on the floor. Alright, we will have to set him to false on show on start. His behavior is going to be set to default, but I'm going to change a couple of them as we go along. On this side, I'm going to add a Hell Knight. Plop him on the floor. Also set him to false with show on start. With him, I'm going to set him to hunt, which will be when he spawns, he will know exactly where the player is, and he will run to the player and try and kill him. And lastly, which I'm going to use as the final enemy and make him have 1 point of health, is a Baron of Hell. You'll also have to show him with false, bring him down to 1, also move him to hunt. That way whenever he spawns, he'll just barge out of the door, no questions asked. For them as well, we will have to use with the on event finished, so that when that's over, these guys will immediately spawn. Now I know that sounds like a lot to throw at a player, but Doom does not care. Well, we'll just do it for 1. So, because we don't want them spawning all at the same time. We want them spawning 1 at a time. So what we're going to do, from him, we're going to add the on kill. And attach him to the Hell Knight, where he spawns as soon as the Mancubus is killed. So the Hell Knight on killed.